So this is my build video for my bomber. This is just going to be a run through of basically everything that I run, and just basically talking about like the different skills I'm using, sets, food, all that jazz. So this is going to be like an in-depth guide of how I normally run. So start off with character. Sitting on roughly, look at 45k max magicka, 25.6k health, 12.3k stamina, unbuffed 2900 spell damage, 46% weapon crit. We've got about 2700, 2800 crit resist, physical and spell resistance about 15k each roughly. Magicka recovery is quite low, and yeah, health, stamina relatively okay. You'll understand further when I get into the video about how it doesn't really matter too much about recovery stats. But in Cyrodiil's, obviously you got the 5k extra health. I'm running increased max magicka and health food. I am stage 4 vampire. I'm currently running the Love Amanda Stone. I'll break that down soon about why I'm doing that. And yeah. So, getting into the skills. On my front bar, I run concealed weapon. You'll be able to find concealed weapon if you go up the shadow tree. This is just really good to have because while you've got it slotted, it's going to increase your movement speed whilst you're in stealth, and it hits really hard. In a light, you can't go wrong with. You've got the increased spell crit rating, and then you've also got the max magicka increased by 5%. And it also helps if you're going up against other night blades. But that's really good to have on your front bar. I definitely recommend having it because it increases the damage your ultimate does. You've got Shadowy Disguise, which is just basically cloak. Gotta have this on if you're a night blade. Sap Essence. When you use it, you're in major sorcery. It's really important. You're going to be using this after your bomb goes off. You're just going to be spamming this, and it does deal quite a lot of damage, and you're also getting the major sorcery buff from it. So make sure this is on your front bar. You don't have to use a gap closer if you don't want to. I personally prefer it, but that's up to you. If you don't want to use a gap closer, you don't have to, but if you've got it there, you may as well make use of it, like get closer into the action, so it's more likely more people are going to blow up to your bomb. But yeah, losing Lotus Fan. Soul Harvest. So some people probably notice why I'm no longer running like Tether and stuff, but the reason I'm running Soul Harvest is that while slotted, any kill I get, I'm going to gain 10 ultimate, and that's any enemy. So say if I go and kill a wolf that's got like maybe 10k health, I'm getting the in combat buff where I get more ultimate, and then I'm also getting extra 10 ultimate for killing it whilst I'm on that bar. So it really helps like quite substantially when it comes to ultimate gain. And because it's a cheap ultimate as well, if you ever get in trouble and somebody's about to kill you, you're going to use it. So that's the front bar. That is the one where we'll have 2 swords on it. Back bar, we're running proximity detonation. Obviously you definitely want to choose this morph. You don't want to choose the one where it's going to be going on to somebody. Yep. I'm running channel acceleration. I'm using this morph because although it adds a cast time, it means that the extra crit damage you'd get, which is 10%, is increased to 36 seconds instead of what it would be for 12, so it helps that last a lot longer. I'm also running Deep Thoughts. This is like, it's been a really handy skill I've found, because not only are you, when you're in a meditated state, you take less damage, but you also, it helps massively when it comes to your recovery. Like, when you're going in for a bomb, you want to make sure you got enough max magicka and stuff so that you're able to actually do enough damage. You don't want to go in like on maybe 20% max magicka. So having this in the bar is important. This is in the Sidric skill tree. One of the benefits of having this on your bar is that while you're casting it, obviously you get to gain the Minor Force, as I said. You also gain a damage shield if you've got one on your bar and you start blocking. Only small, still worth it. Yeah, there's a few different skills in here. You get a few like extra passives for having that on. Obviously the Majors Guild, I was on about in a light before. You've got some of the reasons why you want to have this on your bar in relation to what's it called? You get your little bit extra max magicka recovery. If you use in a light, you also gain in power. There's a lot of like passive benefits for having certain skills on your bar. A lot of you have noticed that there's been a recent change to what's it called? Merciless Resolve. So by cancelling this out, you can instead use Camouflage Hunter, which is the morph of this. I haven't got it unlocked because personally I'm not really using it. It's more if you want to run a tether build. But if you run the morph of this, then if you attack somebody from stealth, you're going to be gaining the minor berserk for 7 seconds. So if you want to just specifically run tether bomb, you can run the morph of this. But I'm personally not using it. I don't think it's really that big of a deal for me, anyway. Harness Magicka. Some people don't wear a shield. I mean, that's up to you if you don't want to. I think it's always important to have, because the longer you stay alive, the better. And then Retreating Maneuver. Doesn't matter which morph you already go with. I've just chose this because it helps us get in there faster when it comes to getting the bombs off. But yeah, so if we're getting into the gear, I'm running Inferno Staff of Vicious Death, and I'm running 2 one-handed swords. You'll notice one of them's Nirnhorned, one of them's sharpened. I'll explain why that is in a minute. But if you look underneath the Sword of Vicious Death, you'll notice the damage is different for the Nirnhorn one compared to the sharpened one by at least 200. So that's an increase of 200 spell damage, which is why we're using that. I'm also running Grothgar at the minute, mainly for the little bit extra max magicka, and then you also get the lava pools that go around you, dealing about 2.3k damage per second. And to be honest, that is quite a lot. I mean, I used to run, you've got an option to run Slimeclaw if you want to. I used to run, Blogs, but to be honest, I feel like it's better to have that little bit extra max magicka and the damage that's going around you. So yeah, and then the last set I'm running is Spinners. Most of the stuff I'm running, except for 2 pieces, is in pen. The only reason I'm running 2 Divines at the minute is in relation to my Wonderstone. But the rest of them, you should be okay to have about 2,800 crit resist. If you're in groups as well, you're going to be getting extra crit resistance. But yes, this is how I run it. I run 1 infused piece of jewellery, and I also run 2 arcane. I'm thinking about switching it up so that it'll be, so I'll have the 2 extra ones that are infused, but it's just how time's going. I mean, it's nice to have 25k max magicka. It's not necessary. I mean, heck, buffed up on the front bar. What are we hitting for Destro? To say on the front bar for Destro, we're currently hitting about 9,200 per second, and that's not including the 20% buff that you would get from the assault skill tree. Is it 20%? No, 10%. You would get, if you recently took a resource, keep, whatever, you get a buff that will basically increase your spell damage by 10%. So 9,200, 10% of that. So it's not a rebuff. It takes you up to nearly 10k. So, and then yeah, proximity dead as well. That's dealing for quite a lot because that's increased up by 25% for each person it hits. I am a Dark Elf. There's a reason I prefer Dark Elf over High Elf and a lot of the other ones, and to be honest, it's for the stamina, because you don't have to run tri-stat food. 12.4k is enough for me. I have got like all Undaunted and I'm running a medium, heavy and light piece at the minute, which means that I have got an extra 6% in health, stamina and magicka resources. But yeah, I'm currently running the heavy shoulders and the medium headpiece. So, yep, that's the skills, that's the sets. If I go on to my champion points, I'm just going to quickly flick through these. They're not really that interesting, they're just quite basic really. Oh, that is important, spell erosion. I go quite high into that because of the spell penetration bonus, and you'll see why in a minute, because I'm going to leave that at the end and explain what the reason for that is. But yeah, I also go quite high in the crit resistance because I need the extra 2 ones for the divines. Okay, so the food that I'm running, just so you know for reference, I'm currently running melon baked Parmesan pork. If you don't want to run that, you can run witch mothers instead. I mean, it still sits you at 42k magicka, and then you're going to be up to about 1.3k magicka recovery. I just like the bit extra health with it, to be honest. Having 25k health's quite important. You can go with the extra stamina if you really want, if you're not a dark elf, but I advise that you are, because you get the extra max stamina along with the max magicka. You only lose like maybe an extra 125 or something like that magicka from being a high elf if you switch to dark elf, but then you gain like an extra 1875 stamina, and you also don't get the burn effect. You've got better flame resistance, and then the main thing is the spell damage, because you want to have as much damage as you can on this build as well. I've got some stuff in the alchemy. Mainly it's for the medicinal use. When using potions, resultant effects last 30% longer. So my potions are always up 100% of the time whenever I use them. So they last for quite a long period. I'd say that is quite important to have on your build. Don't have to have jewellery crafter if you don't want to. You could go into provisioning and make it so your food lasts a little bit longer. Personally, I'm not too fussed. I've got hundreds of stacks of the food I'm using. But yeah. Anything else? Right, so you've noticed we're on the lover. I'm going to break it down how this is working, because basically what I'm doing is I'm hitting cap at the minute. There's an 18k spell penetration cap of how much you can hit somebody for. So you probably look at this build compared to one of my other ones and think, well, your spell damage really isn't that high. I mean, about 3,800. I mean, I don't regularly use these potions, because you get the major sorcery buff anyway from Sap Essence. Just make sure you hit that quite early. These are the potions I use. Essence of movability, you get health and magicka back. You want to make sure that you go into a fight with as much magicka as you can. You also want to make sure you go in full health, because if not, you'd be pretty screwed. But yeah, so you've got, from the lover, you've got 3,164. If you plus that with the light armor passive, the very bottom here, you've got 4,884 spell penetration. Also here on the front bar, we've got the 1 here, which is 1,376 spell penetration from the sharpened. You have an additional 3,450 spell penetration that's coming from spinners. And then in the champion points, you also have an additional 5,144 spell penetration. For those of you that don't basically have a calculator around, this equates to 18,018 spell penetration. So we're hitting as high as we can hit somebody. We're hitting the 18k mark, which means people do melt. Obviously, that's not taking into account of any other buffs that we do get. Personally, I quite like having Essence of Movability top bar, normally have some trash pots and stuff there to build ultimate up, because you've got the passive in the saving and skill tree, which is here. Wherever you use a potion, you also get 20 ultimates, so you constantly want to be using potions, trash potions and stuff to get your ultimate back up. Max Magic has increased by 8% when a saving ability slotted. That's why we've got Sap Essence on the front bar. Yeah, you get a little bit of ultimate for using one, like a saving ability in that, while you're in combat. And then when it comes to this, make sure you've definitely got Dark Veil, you've got the points in an ad, because if not, your cloak's only going to be 1 second long, and that's detrimental. You don't want that to happen. So you get a little bit extra max health. You do gain the major ward, major resolve when you use it. So, like, when I've used that, my resistances go up to about 20k physical and spell resistance, which isn't too bad. It's up to you really if you want to do that or not. But yeah, I believe that's everything for this build. I hope you have enjoyed. But that's specifically why you've got the 2 divines bit there. But yeah, other than that, everything else, it's all going to be Max Magica. Probably is going to change these 2 to infused at some point, give it a try out. I have got 2 infused ones here that are purple. There's not really that much of a difference when it comes to the damage. But yeah, I would run with clever. Before that, for us to run was mechanical. A lot of people are quite tanky, to say the least. And with Nightblade losing a lot of their buffs, I feel like going penetration wise is probably because you're doing more damage. I mean, we'll be hitting close to about 4k spell damage when we're fully buffed up. And 4k to somebody when you've got 18k spell penetration, that's going to do quite a lot. I'm probably going to put some clips in at the end of this, but yes, this is my build video. I'm actually going to show you my appearance because I'm vain. Currently running the werewolf hat. Costumes, I'm running the arena gladiator. You don't know how to get that, you've got to get the arena proofs up to 50. And then when it comes to me skin, I'm just using the Meridia one. I do like the frost one, looks nice, but I think this one looks better with the arena one. And yeah, I believe that's everything, so I shall see you guys later.
You fucking bleed now! Underneath the veil was a killing power. Only a curse blood could retain. I lifted a vision, and a voice that pleaded the greatest moment of need. Come into time, every function dies. This will be the bleeding.
You just building up, Morgan? Yeah, I did. Nice! I seen them all there and then they just was dead. That was nice.